This is the early stages of Cup Car 2.0, my most ambitious sim rig build yet. The goal? To achieve levels of visual immersion that far exceed that of my original Cup Car build. And this is the Pimax Crystal Light, a high-resolution VR headset that could replace all of this with just this. But can it deliver an experience that matches or even surpasses that of the triple screen monitor setup? And am I any faster using it? Today we're going to put the Crystal Light to the test and find out. For those of you less familiar, Pimax is an innovative VR brand known for pushing the boundaries of clarity and immersion. Many of the advances in VR headsets are a direct result of steps that Pimax took to improve the overall experience. Designed as a lighter, more accessible, yet still high-end VR headset for sim racers and enthusiasts, the Crystal Light is one of the examples of the quality and comfort that Pimax can deliver to a VR headset while still packing in a lot of tech. Now let's talk about the high-end specs that make this not so high-priced headset tick. Starting at the displays, the headset's running two high-resolution QLED panels, each of which delivering 2880 by 2880 pixels per eye. At 35 pixels per degree, it's essentially the level at which individual pixels become invisible to the human eye, giving you crisp, clear visuals without any noticeable screen door effect. Adding to this clarity is the headset's mini LED backlighting, which provides improved contrast and deeper blacks compared to the standard LCD displays. There's even an optional local dimming feature, letting the headset dynamically control brightness zones for an enhanced sense of realism and immersion. Speaking of immersion, field of view is an essential component, especially in sim racing. And here the Crystal Light offers a diagonal FOV of 130 degrees, with 115 degrees horizontally and 105 vertically. This places it comfortably ahead of the mainstream competitors, giving it a broader, more natural perspective for your environment. And finally, pulling it all together, the aspheric glass lenses deliver a truly high-quality image with minimal visual artifact or distortion. Now I have to admit, I'm no expert on VR. I've always preferred my triple screen setup, but the Pimax Crystal Light actually has me wondering if I couldn't spend a little more time in the virtual world. It's not that I have any intention at all of giving up my triple screen setup, or moving beyond building immersive sim rigs. In fact, I actually think that wearing the VR headset is going to make me a little bit slower, but we're going to find out about that later in the video. Ultimately, what the Crystal Light has done so far is make me question whether I should be experiencing other VR headsets because none of the ones I had tried prior had nearly the quality of this headset. As far as sound goes, you have integrated audio built directly into the headset. It's complemented by dual microphones for clear in-game communication. And if you're particular about your audio quality, there's a standard 3.5 jack so you can use your favorite headphones. All this packed into a headset that weighs 815 grams according to the spec sheet. It's not the lightest on the market, but still comfortable enough for extended sessions. The face gasket is extremely comfortable and it prevents any light from entering the headset. And the head strap and clamping section is also quite comfortable. At this point I've only tested a handful of VR units, but this is the first one that was actually comfortable enough to forget I was wearing it. Setting up the Crystal Light was also super easy. You're going to need an available display port and USB port on your PC in order to get it going. But aside from that, once you get it plugged in, you can install the Pimax software and get it all set up. Since I mainly play iRacing and Assetto Corsa, I also needed the Steam VR app, which is still required even if you're not using iRacing through Steam. Initially, I did find that having all settings maxed out brought even my 7900 XTX GPU to its knees. So there was a little bit of light tuning needed to get everything running smooth and to keep it from maxing out my GPU. What I found in tuning was that these screens are so high resolution that lowering the graphics a little bit had almost no visual impact, but significantly improved the performance overall. Now I'm not going to go into every detail of the settings that I used in order to get the headset to perform right, because there's just too much deviation from one PC to the next. What I will tell you is, my PC is a 7900 XTX GPU, the CPU is a 7800X 3D, and it's got 32 gigs of RAM. I recommend looking at the system requirements that Pimax shows because there's a large range from minimum requirements to maximum performance, and there's a recommended section in the middle. So with all that being said, if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll try to help you the best I can, but I didn't think it was necessarily going to be as helpful for most people to be able to see exactly what settings I used. I did do a lot of adjustments in-game and not a whole lot in the app. Overall, it kind of felt like they went a few GPUs ahead so that as technology gets better, the headset will actually perform better as well, but that's just my impression of it. Alright, those of you that have been around for a while know I always got to find out when I get a new piece of tech if it actually has any impact on my lap times. So I've been looking forward to this for a minute. We're going to go to Road Atlanta in iRacing, and I'm going to test the VR headset versus the triple screens. And we're going to find out how those lap times compare and if one's really better than the other. My logic going into this was I was going to hammer out 10 laps in VR and then switch to the triple screens and do another 10 laps and compare the lap times. And that's exactly how I started out. But as I got deeper into the first 10 laps, I started to realize that I was adjusting to the VR a bit and things were starting to feel a lot better than they did in the beginning. So I decided to go a full 20 in the VR headset just to get a good baseline. And not being used to VR, I did find that there was a little bit of eye strain having the screen so close to me and just trying to adapt to it. And that was something that I continuously felt through all 20 laps. But at the same time, once I got over the mental part of having the screens that close and being in the VR headset, I really felt like my lap times did start to improve quite a bit. Ultimately, my final lap time in the VR at Road Atlanta was 122.63. which I want to say is about 2 seconds off of my fastest time that I've achieved on the track. I've been trying to get to 119 for a while and I just haven't gotten there. So 122, considering I'm a bit out of practice, might actually be a very tough number to compete with going into the triple monitor setup. And now I'm really stoked because it's time to jump into the sim rig with triple screens and I can do what I do best. Throw on a GoPro and give you guys a full POV around the track and show you guys the best lap time and see if we can't beat that VR number. Now, as I mentioned previously, my goal was to beat the VR time within 10 laps, and I was pretty confident I was going to be able to do it. What I didn't account for is having to get used to using monitors again. After only doing 20 laps on the VR, I had already adapted to it pretty well, and switching back to monitors actually threw me off for the first couple laps. And the very first lap, I couldn't even stay on the track. So it took me a little longer than I expected to readapt to it. And ultimately, what you guys want to know is, was I faster on the triple screen? Or was I faster in VR? And the answer to that is a little more nuanced than I would have anticipated. So I knew from reading and research that realistically from entry level to about mid-level, you're either better with VR or about the same with VR. And then past a certain point, you're faster on a monitor. And I didn't know quite where I was going to fall into that, but I was still pretty confident I'd be able to beat my time on a monitor. What I found was that it actually took 13 laps to tie the time I got on the VR headset. So it took me 20 laps to get the time on the VR, 13 laps to tie it, and it took me 14 laps to actually beat my VR time, and I beat it by 0.2 of a second. So it was very, very marginal. But a couple of the things I noticed from being on VR and then going to the monitors is I gained my confidence a lot faster with the VR headset than I did on the monitors. And ultimately, I just felt like I was more consistent with the VR headset than I was with the monitors. And since consistency can lead to overall faster races, I would say I'm going to need a little more time with this headset to find out which one's really better. Now, just because I don't know which one I'm faster on, doesn't mean I don't have some final thoughts on the Pimax Crystal Light. But before I get into that, I want to be fully transparent with you guys. Pimax did send me the Crystal Light to review, but they're not paying me for the review, and they're not telling me what to say about it. So I do have free ability to give negative feedback if I had any. Thing is, I don't necessarily have a whole lot of negative things to say because compared to my previous experiences, this VR headset's been absolutely amazing. But also, I did tell you guys early in the video that I am limited on experience with VR. So this is coming from somebody who, has used VR headsets in the past, but hasn't used the highest quality ones. And I was kind of turned off by previous ones over the years. And as technology's gotten a lot better, I haven't really taken that chance to experience other ones. But coming from having those experiences to this one, it's actually got me thinking that I want to experience VR more often. And that just speaks to the quality, in my opinion, of the Pimax Crystal Light. Truth be told, for the longest time, I've kind of been anti-VR. And if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, and those of you that have commented that I should try VR, maybe I should have listened a little bit sooner. I'm not gonna lie. That being said, I still go back to, I have no intention of getting rid of the triple screens. I love building immersive sim rigs, and those aren't going anywhere. But VR might become a little more used on the channel than it was previously. If you guys are interested in checking out this headset, I'm going to put an affiliate link in the description along with a promo code that Pimax has provided, so you guys can get an additional 3% off on your purchase. For those of you that are passionate about your VR headsets, let me know which one's your favorite in the comments. And if you guys aren't already involved in the Cup Car 2.0 build, or if you're curious where my VR journey is going to go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. and I'll see you guys out on the track. Oh yeah, and for those of you that have been following the channel and supporting the Cup Car 2.0 build, I posted a little short earlier this week, but in case you missed it, I just wanted to take one more opportunity to say thank you to you guys for all the support you guys are giving the channel. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. The growth this last 7 or 8 months has been absolutely insane, and I wouldn't be able to do the things I'm doing without you guys. So thank you, and I'll see you guys later.